All right, I'm Nick. Today we're gonna take a few minutes. We're out in the garage. You can probably hear a bunch of birds chirping. We're gonna step away from some of the kayak stuff. We are gonna focus on our fish fact series. We're gonna talk about the gray triggerfish. Now, triggerfish season opened up March 1st and closes May 1st this year. It should reopen later in the year, but sometimes they change and cancel that. But we'll talk about that at a different time later in the year. We're going to use the phone just to reference some stuff, make sure everything is right and all the information you get is accurate. We made a video a while back on how to catch triggerfish, which is going to help you guys out a ton. There's a link up here in the suggested area, and there'll be a link in the description so you can go watch that after this video. Let's talk about a few things here. Let's talk about the record. The Florida State record triggerfish is 12.7 pounds. That's a big triggerfish. Now, I've had clients catch triggerfish up to 24 inches to the fork, which were just absolute monsters of fish. They call them trash can lids, right? Just a huge triggerfish. Awesome to see, fight great, unbelievably tasty. But I couldn't even imagine. We didn't weigh that fish, but I couldn't even imagine what a 12.7 pound triggerfish even looks like. But I'd love to catch one, or at least watch someone catch one, right? The limit on triggerfish in the Gulf state waters is 1 per person with a minimum of 15 inches to the fork. Now, if you're on the Atlantic side of Florida, you can keep 10 per person. That's crazy. I don't even know anyone who catches them over there in great numbers. I can go out here and catch 100 a day, but we can only keep 1. It's incredible. The whole, limits behind all this stuff don't often make sense, but what can you do about it? I'm sure it has something to do with commercial fishing and them wanting to get their quota, whereas they probably don't commercially fish for triggerfish on the East Coast, which is interesting. Talk about that some other time. Appearance. Triggerfish have super small mouths with chisel-like teeth. They are olive gray in color, and their dorsal fins and anal fins and tail fin, whatever, they are marbled in blue, man. When you hook these fish and get them to the surface, sometimes they'll be lit up and just be this vibrant, crazy color. When the sun's hitting them, they sparkle. It's a gorgeous fish. Yeah, it looks like leather. It's kind of shaped funny, has a big spine. People, oh, it's ugly. It's got crazy teeth. Man, those things in the water are absolutely gorgeous. I love seeing them come around and chase a chum. It's a cool experience. Triggerfish get their name because of their dorsal fin. The first spine on their dorsal fin is actually controlled by the second spine. So it's like super hard, right? And if you put your hand on it or it lands on your foot, it's gonna hurt you really bad. But if you push the second spine, it comes down. So that's how they get it. It's a trigger. You push the trigger and the first spine comes down. It's pretty cool. They use that dorsal fin to actually anchor in position. There's a cool video about it showing a triggerfish like shoving its spine into a coral and just sitting there in the current. Pretty neat to see, and it's also obviously a defense mechanism for predators that are trying to eat them. Pretty cool stuff. So, what else here? Habitat. Now, you can find triggerfish pretty much everywhere in Northwest Florida, from Pensacola Bay out to the Gulf of Mexico in 60, 40, 100 feet. They're all over the place. Pretty much every piece of structure around here has them, but FWC says they like hard bottoms, reefs, ledges. Realistically, if there's a piece of structure in the Gulf of Mexico, there's a triggerfish around it somewhere. And once you find one, you usually find 100 of them. So keep that in mind. They're easy to find. They're pretty easy to catch, and they're delicious. Now, maturity and life cycle. Triggerfish become sexually mature at roughly the 2-year mark, which is really cool to see. It's quick, and that's why there are so many of them swimming around the Gulf. They reproduce quickly. Spawning occurs from April to August, and a female will lay somewhere around 700,000 per time she spawns. 700,000 eggs per time she spawns. There's a ton of little babies out there trying to get made and grow up into big ones. Unlike most species, the males are actually larger than the females. A lot of times the females in the fishing world are larger than the males. Not so much for triggerfish. That's kind of interesting to see. Let's talk about table fare. Triggerfish get a terrible rap for being ugly and hard to clean, but they're not hard to clean at all. They're super easy to clean. You take a super sharp fillet knife, you come in their butthole, right? You come in the anal opening, you come down, and they just fillet beautifully. The fillet is just gorgeous, white and flaky. There's no blood in it. It's awesome. They taste great. I'll tell you this, I would eat a triggerfish over a red snapper any day of the week. No discussion. If they're like, hey, you can only have one forever, I'm like, all right, give me those triggerfish. No questions about it. I know everybody loves red snapper, but triggerfish tastes better in my opinion. And like I said before, I'm willing to argue with it about it all day. Now, that was just some quick facts about triggerfish. It's an awesome fish. They're fun to catch. They fight hard. It's great to take out young kids because they're everywhere. They're always going to be there. They're not very smart. They'll eat whatever you put in front of their face. Like I said before, video below on how to catch them, all that good stuff. If you have questions or additional information to add, drop it in the comment section. As normal, I appreciate you guys watching the video. If you got any questions, just shoot me an email at nick@navarrekayakfishing.com.